In 1974, a secret meeting took place that would change the course of human history. It wasn't about a war, and it wasn't about a religion. It was about a deal that turned the US dollar into the most powerful weapon on Earth. To understand why the Middle East holds so much influence over the global economy, you have to understand one word: the petrodollar. Most people think a currency's value comes from gold or a strong government. But for the last 50 years, the US dollar has been backed by something much more important: oil. It started during a massive energy crisis. The United States made an offer to Saudi Arabia that they couldn't refuse. The deal was simple. The US would provide total military protection and high-tech weapons to the Saudi kingdom. In exchange, Saudi Arabia agreed to sell its oil exclusively in US dollars. This might sound like a small technicality, but it was a masterstroke of economic power. Because Saudi Arabia was the world's largest oil exporter, every other country that wanted to buy oil suddenly had to trade their own currency for US dollars first. Think about that for a second. Whether you are a factory in Japan, a trucking company in Germany, or a power plant in India, you cannot buy the energy you need to survive unless you have US dollars in your hand. This created a permanent global demand for the dollar that has lasted for decades. This system gave the Middle East a unique kind of power. They started accumulating petrodollars, billions of dollars in excess cash that they couldn't possibly spend all at once. So they did something clever. They began recycling that money back into Western banks, buying up real estate in London, sports teams in Europe, and massive amounts of US government debt. But this deal also created a dangerous dependency. It meant that any instability in the Middle East was no longer just a local problem. It was a global economic threat. If a war breaks out in the Gulf, the price of gas in a small town in America or a village in Bangladesh shoots up instantly. Today, however, the cracks are starting to show. For the first time in half a century, countries like China and Russia are trying to buy oil using other currencies. Digital currencies and renewable energy are threatening to break the link between the dollar and the desert. The petrodollar era built the modern world, funded the rise of superpowers, and turned desert villages into global hubs of finance. But as the world shifts toward new forms of energy, the secret deal of 1974 is facing its greatest challenge yet. The question is, if the world stops needing oil, will the world still need the dollar?